Hey everyone, and welcome to Brad in 2024. Basically, just the end of the year video again. Things are going to be a bit different this time. It's hopefully not going to be an hour long. Basically, each event I'm just going to make its own little section. That way it's easier for editing. And also, really quick, just a bad joke that I thought of since I'm wearing this shirt today. Hakuna Matata. A wonderful phrase. It means no worries for the rest of your days. Because I liked The Lion King as a kid, but also, let's just say, a large studio was like, hey, this guy with less than 100 subscribers, and I know more than 10,000 views, man, we gotta get this guy on the payroll, so I've been bought out. So it's true, folks. Disney owns everything. It's not true, but I thought of it last night, and I'm making the joke now. So yeah, we'll talk about all the 2024 events, the people at the end of the road, unfortunately, and then finally, looking ahead at 2025, some of the stuff that I know for sure is going to go on. So yeah, let's get into it. All right, starting with January 20th. I'm going to lean in because I got to read because it's hard. I got the Platinum Trophy in Final Fantasy VII, the original game, from 1997, I think it was. Basically, the hardest trophies for that game were defeating Ruby and Emerald Weapon, two of the super bosses who are too legit to quit. I grinded for at least 8 hours for sources. Basically those little things that increase your stats by 1 point each or however many points. Specifically, I think it was strength and vitality. That was a cakewalk compared to the actual fights themselves. Thank God for, online guides on YouTube and stuff. Let's start with the easier fight, Emerald Weapon. Basically, I just attacked and healed, and it was a war of attrition. I think that's the right term, hopefully. Elixirs, Mega Elixirs, I know. The biggest sin of gaming ever, using those. And I just pounded with limit breaks and normal attacks. And also the /all materia. Basically, the boss spawns with 4 eyes on its body that, hurt you for HP and MP damage, basically. Like, destroy your HP and destroy your MP. But yeah, that was easy enough after enough grinding and planning and checking for strategies online. Dude, it's 2024, man. Like, I'm allowed. This isn't the 90s anymore. We have the internet. Don't at me. Then, we had the worst thing of all ever. Ruby Weapon. The most threatening weapon, in my opinion. Basically, at the start of combat, if all 3 characters are alive, Ruby Weapon will suck 2 away, leaving only 1 character to fight. Like, basically, a little quicksand opens up and sucks 1 person down, sucks the other person down eventually, and yeah. And then 2 tentacles spawn up behind you, and it's just a challenge. Like, I'll have some quick video, hopefully, for this, for reference, but yeah. However, if you come in, if you come in with 2 characters KO'd, then the fight can really start. Basically, digs the 2 tentacles into the ground, and you can start damaging him. Though the tentacles will counterattack. However, I had a cheap trick up my sleeve. The Dazers. Basically, a little random item that you can use that stuns the enemy. So it stops them for either a set amount of time or a set number of turns. I forget. But yeah, so I would stun him, then attack him, then stun again when he started moving. It was a war of attrition, but more so than the Emerald Weapon fight. Ruby would ultimately send a Barret and sit away, so it was Cloud in the end. And honestly, for me, it was a nail-biter to the bitter end, but I beat him. I won. My tactics were cheap, but he's even more cheap, so I don't feel bad at all. Don't you ever cheese me, okay? I will find how to cheese you back 10 times harder. I took on the toughest bosses of the game, and I got the Platinum Trophy. If I ever play Final Fantasy VII again, I'm not going after them. They're like the Riddler and Arkham Knight. You're not worth the time. It's too much of a challenge. Or the Time Worm in Dragon Quest XI definitive edition or whatever it was. Ruby and Emerald were one time, not even once, but twice? No. Have fun in your little hidey holes, beneath the ocean and under the sands. Like the Riddler in Arkham Knight. I don't need to deal with you ever. Bye-bye. Alright, moving on to January 21st through January 25th, my birthday, where I turned 36. I started to play Crash Team Rumble. It was a gift from Patrick for Christmas. It was a nice little game, and after looking at the trophies, a plausible second platinum trophy. I set to work on the game, and by the 22nd, not even 48 hours later, I had all but one trophy. Get a character to max level, which is 15. To put this in perspective, experience from 10 to 11 is 23,300 points. You get between 700 and 1,500 points in a match, win or lose. There are a few skill points, bank the most points, help boost your banking so many times, which start at about 500 points and build up to 4,000 experience points. Basically, do it a number of times and you get, a rank up. It helps, but my god is it tedious. Something that should help the tedium is each character has a skill trophy, body slam with Crash, heal allies with Cat Bat, etc. I lucked into so many of those, but they were a bit ridiculous and needed luck. Thank God it was only one time for each, but still. And I say all this because I have to say, Toys for Bob, I like your work, I respect you guys for what you do, but fuck. Okay? Can you stop making it so you have to basically dedicate your life if you want 100% a game? Like, I'm never going to do freaking Crash 4, It's About Time, or whatever the heck it was. Because that's insane. Like, I revisited it, and I got some more stuff, and that's fine. But I'm never 100%ing it, getting the Platinum Relics and stuff. You guys are jerks. That's all I have to say about it. But I respect you. So keep making games, but you're allowed to make them a little bit easier, too. You get that, right? Right? But yeah, and maybe that's also just me being 36 and complaining. I don't know, whatever. So, quick. And then to Patrick, I just want to say, I like the game, it's fun, but God is it soul crushing to get the Platinum Trophy in. That's on me. You did good, and I appreciate it. And this was over my vacation from the 20th to the 24th. That's how I was able to do so much so fast. And then somewhere around January 25th or so, I skipped OhioCon this year. After a number of stories about how the higher-ups, or one higher-up in particular, was mistreating staff and volunteers, I sided with a number of people who skipped it this year. No hate for those who went or did their best to keep the convention going, but we did what we had to send a message to that higher-up person. Do not. Okay? I volunteer at my local one-day convention. I know it's hard, but they do their best to support us. You need to do the same for your people. We'll have to wait and see what happens in the future. But yeah, had to note that as well. Ideally, I will attend Animarathon in March and see at least Ryan, if not Yui, as well for the convention, which I haven't been to in a few years, actually. When days were hard for me to figure. Yeah, since this post, OhioCon has apparently moved locations, unfortunately a bit farther away from me, so I have the sinking feeling that that's probably the end of my relationship with OhioCon. However, there is a new convention with a number of staffers from OhioCon that is starting in April this year. SakaiCon. I forget the exact dates, but yeah. So I'm curious to check that out. Ryan suggested, we hit that up. I'll potentially see, some of my other friends there as well. And we'll go from there. But, yeah. It kind of stinks because OhioCon was my first major convention. It's where I met up with the One Piece group. It's where I got to do the Hellsing Ultimate cosplay group with Elliot and a few other people. And, yeah. So, to have to, leave it behind kind of sucks. January 23rd, one of my best friends, Chris, and his wife had a baby, Lily Marie. Chris I've known since high school. I made reference to him a number of times, with D&D, Freaking Halo, Smash Brothers, Warhammer. That was the one I was trying to think of. And it's cool seeing him hit another excellent, awesome milestone. So, kudos to you, Chris. I can't remember if I said it to you in person, but I will say it here for sure. I'm proud of how you've got a good life and you've got so many things together and figured out and stuff. And honestly, he lives not too far away from me, like maybe 5-10 minutes driving. Like I always knew you were going to, lead a good life and have it good and stuff. And just being able to see it and still hang out occasionally is nice. And yeah, so keep doing what you're doing, Chris. You're doing good, and I know you're gonna be a great dad. I think that's about it. So let's move on to February. All right, this is just talking about February in general terms. I found the fun D&D series Fantasy High on the Dimension 20 YouTube channel. Basically, the series follows a group of adventurers in a mix of D&D and a 50s/80s style coming-of-age movie. Brennan Lee Mulligan, I think, said it best. It's like a John Hughes film meets D&D. Like, for real. The initial story covers freshman year of high school, and they have a season for sophomore year, which I plan on catching up on, but I need some time to come down from the crazy highs of season 1. Basically, it's just a group of outcasts coming together and having to face off with a serious, insane plot that is going to potentially tear apart, if not just the school, the entire town. In the first session, they deal with a giant corn monster. In another session, they deal with skateboarding dwarves and their half-pipe carrying golem. They they get in a car chase with a 50s hot rod. God, was he Dark Elf or something? I forget. But basically a warlock for sure. And ultimately, yeah, they have to face off against a dragon. And yeah, it's just fun and crazy. Like, everyone did an excellent job, and I can't wait to see sophomore year. I kind of started it, but like to go from, oh hey, we defeated like a giant dragon monster to, back to, like, it's still the same characters, but it's like back to, oh hey, the beginning of another adventure. It's kind of like when you went from Endgame to whatever came next in the Marvel movies. It's challenging, so I'm probably going to restart again soon, now that I've had some time to not absorb Dimension 20 freshman year. Hopefully we'll see how it works. March 5th. Oxventure announced the final season of the Oxventurers Guild. The series started years ago. I think it was 2017. Johnny the DM was DMing for the third time for the Outside Xbox 2 million subscriber special celebration. Most of the team were playing D&D for the first time, or were fairly new. This grew so big, it started a second channel, more tabletop gaming, on top of their busy video game release schedule. Video game content, lists, previews for upcoming games, fun little competitions, etc., etc. And it helped me to rekindle my interest in D&D. It's crazy to think that the story of the group will be over, roughly by the summer, I think. They will have a new campaign and other fun game sessions, but I'm pretty attached to the characters we have. Dob, in a lot of ways, inspired my character Darb. Corazon, the rogue pirates, his story is great. Having to fight down his own demons, of failing his former crew. Egbert's atonement. Prudence becoming slightly less evil because of her friends, and Marilyn moving toward neutral on the good-evil scale. More to come when the series wraps up. Thank you everyone. It was a great campaign. Can't wait to see what's next. I do talk about it later, the finale, and I'll get to that when I get to that. I did start to watch a bit of the new stuff, and basically Johnny has set up a new campaign world and is taking things a bit more seriously than the X-Venturers Guild was. Which, hey, to be fair, totally fine. I get it. I love the X-Venturers Guild, even though it was a bit silly and ridiculous at times. Like, it still worked narratively, I think. Also, if you're looking for more Johnny Chiodini content, youtube.com/Johnny Chiodini. I will spell it out because, yeah. Also, Outside Xbox, Outside Extra. And also, if you want to see another campaign that Johnny ran with a more serious group, check out Dicebreaker, or Dungeon Breaker, as the series was called. But yeah, so that is that. March 7th. Ash Millman of PlayStation Access, I guess, is moving on to other things. She was a great addition to the team, gelling well with everyone and getting the spooky prankster around Halloween. Helped things go well for her and the PlayStation Access crew. Basically, PlayStation Access is another YouTube channel that follows PlayStation-specific content. You know, I'm talking about, you know, they have they have various lists for things. They have previews for upcoming games and just their own, like, and even a podcast going on with just different stuff about gaming and stuff in general. It's another channel that I followed. I kind of like fell off at a certain point, but like I've come back to it just to watch some different things. Like currently they have Hitmas going on, which is basically, oh hey, we're playing through different challenges in the game Hitman or Hitman 3. I forget which one it is. But yeah, like it's a fun, interesting channel if you're into, you know, gaming content, PlayStation stuff, or, you know, just silly, fun team that gels well together. That is also British. You know, just like Outside Xbox and Outside Extra. So, yeah. Sadly, no D&D content as far as I know currently. Maybe they'll do Pathfinder. But yeah, that's that. March 9th. In January, Matt Pat, the host of Game Theory, announced he would be leaving YouTube. He felt that it was time after 10 years, and it's just crazy. He's the person behind, and that's just a theory. A game theory. You know, he goes way too far into researching different subjects. Games and films are what I follow, but he also does, I believe, food and fashion, or style. He was one of my YouTube heroes and idols. You know, starting off simple, recording in a closet with good sound dampening, and, you know, upgrading from there, you know, to doing live streams and other stuff. And, you know, he talked about, like, some of the basic stuff he had to do in early editing. And, yeah. He's also the FNAF guy. Talks a lot about Five Nights at Freddy's stuff. Again, you know, overall, like I said, you know, a real hero and role model that shows that you can have humble beginnings and you can build up to something greater. You know, like, the Angry Video Game Nerd, the Nostalgia Critic, the Completionist, other characters. And before people come at me, you know, for like, oh, there's controversy with this person or that person, I know and understand. I'm not saying I support them despite the controversy. I'm saying where they started and where they got to before controversy came up was pretty cool and kind of inspiring. And I'm glad I got to see them and grow with them. April 8th, the lunar or solar eclipse, wherever the moon goes in front of the sun. It was very surprising. Basically, the light went from day to basically night in a matter of minutes, and back again roughly around 3 p.m. Now, we got glasses from the library and observed it. It was a very cool event to have witnessed. I'm not sure what else to really say about it, but it was just crazy. Like I said, oh hey, it's 3 o'clock. It's nice and sunny in the afternoon, and hey, why is it getting darker? Yeah. But yeah, that's that's that. I've got a couple of short ones coming up really quick, so just bear with me here. April 10th. Luke Westway of Outside Xbox / Outside Extra / The Oxventure talked about his stepping down and being less involved with Outside Extra. he will be in the X-Venture and such. He just has other passion projects that wants to follow. He explained that the work on Outside Extra forced everyone to do a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff, and Lucas found some fascination for music composition. Luke's definitely one of my favorite characters of the 5, of the crew. Like I think I said earlier, the Outside Xbox and Outside Extra crew gel very well. They're a really good team, that works together. Andy Ferrantula, sorry if I said it wrong, Jane Douglas, Mike Channel, Ellen Rose, I think, and Luke Westaway. Luke and Andy are my 2 favorites, I will honestly say. Then Jane, and then Ellen and Mike. Like, they're all good, but just Andy and Luke, are just those over the top ridiculous characters. They actually have their own podcast, Mom Can't Cook, a DCOM podcast that I follow pretty regularly. Basically, they talk about the Disney Channel original movies. Some stuff that I'm familiar with, like Smart House, Halloween Town, Don't Look Under the Bed, Brink. And some of the other stuff that I didn't see, like Eddie's $1 Million Cook-Off. I like the actual one that I'm familiar with. But also they have, a secondary podcast for Patreon followers called Second Helpings, where they talk about the So Weird series. Basically, as Andy puts it, X-Files, but for kids. It looked like an interesting show. I just never saw it myself. And I'm not on that Patreon, but I wouldn't mind just to hear some of those episodes because it sounds interesting. And like I said, Andy and Luke are kind of over-the-top ridiculous characters, and I think they do good work. So yeah, it stinks to hear that, Luke isn't going to be as involved. But I'm hoping it's kind of like Nathan with PlayStation Access, where he's behind the scenes, but he's still there. And like you said, he's going to be involved with the X-Venture and a few other things anyway. So yeah. We're going into May now. Alright. May trimmed the bushes around the pond so that I could drive my mower through and reach the back area. It's nice and I like it. I've got some pictures. I gotta try and find them, I think, from my camera or my phone or whatever. Basically, I have a pond in my backyard. We dug a big hole out of the ground because the backyard would get so filled with rainwater and stuff that it became very squishy and wet and a bit rough to walk through, unless you had, like boots that were meant for, water time. And also made mowing a bit more difficult. Like, it still gets damp back there, but yeah. It was one of those outside projects that I got to do that I wanted to do for some time. Like also laying bricks close to around the foundation of the house so that I wouldn't have to get in as close with mowing or weed whacking, because I don't want to whack up the siding or the windows in the basement. But yeah, that's it. Unfortunately, my outside projects kind of fell on the wayside after August because it got hot and I sprained my back, and I will talk about that when I get to August. We're still in May though. So yeah. And I've got something else in May. Alright, May 9th. Saw The Fall Guy. Basically, Ryan Gosling stars as a stuntman who has to pose as a private eye to find a missing lead actor. In the course of the case, he gets caught up in some crazy stuff involving underworld thugs and their attempts to frame him for the murder. I want to see it because I like Ryan Gosling. The trailers look good. They played Any Way You Want It by Journey, and I draw parallels to Ryan's stuntman character. I get my ass kicked a lot, but I receive no love for it. My boss dumps work on me. I've got to do other stuff for, other people, and it's just a real headache and hassle. And it feels like, I got hit by a truck, or I crashed through, a subway train window, or I flipped my car. Especially now that I'm 36 and I've got consistent aches. That was a joke, just to be clear. I'm fine, just... But But yeah, I really enjoyed The Fall Guy. I thought it was a fun, interesting movie. I've got to double check my stuff, and I got to start a spreadsheet for all the movies that I have on DVD, so I know if I have something or not. Because collecting physical media, is never a bad thing to do, in my opinion. Because you can always watch, The Fall Guy, Dungeons and Dragons, Back to the Future, Jumanji, etc. if you have it on DVD and you have a DVD player, which I do. Which I'm going to try and get a better one, because I had issues with Doctor Who last year, but that's whatever. Cool. Alright, I forget the exact place for this in May, but the X-Venture final season wrapped up. And this is a longer one, just based on what I have written. Overall, I thought the season was unfortunately a bit lackluster. I'm sorry, Johnny. I'm sorry, everyone. But it did have some good moments, like working with Liliana to find the gems to reseal the portal she opened that was going to let monsters in that, that could destroy Geth. Liliana learning about friendship and teamwork and had some growth as a character. Basically, she's a drow sorceress that's had it in for the Oxventurers crew since Season 1 when they were doing various one-shots. Basically, the adventure spell check, they fell into the trap of Liliana's tavern, where, oh hey, drink stuff, oh man, I'm feeling woozy, and just pass out, because she was stealing the magical energy from various characters. They basically broke her, magic collector, and got her attention, is what that boiled down to. And then, at various times, she would pop up in the adventure and terrorize them and try to take them down, is what that amounted to. And yeah, having the villain turn to you and be like, I need your help, like I screwed up and we have to save the world because I live here too and I don't want to be destroyed. But yeah, some spoilers here also really quick. Unfortunately, in the end, she went back to her old ways once the crisis was averted, trying to kill Merilwen, the Wood Elf druid of the group. With power word kill, but Corazon dove the way and saved her. Dob sacrificed his magical ability to the skeletons of the Hammer of Ethelfrith, which summons 60 skeletons, a flaming skull, and the skeleton of a donkey or mule. Don't ask. It was a silly adventure. He sacrificed his magic in order to kill Liliana, which is kind of crazy because it was established at some point that Dob had a serious crush on Liliana. Corazon was reincarnated via the spell reincarnation as a turtle, and Prudence has the hammer now that summons the skeletons and stuff. The best season, in my opinion, is and always will be the Orpocalypse. The line, Geth is in peril, the beast is free, has always stuck with me. It was just a casual line that was delivered at the start of the season, when the orb was whole and released Vercatus, the trickster demon. Who wanted to turn all of Geth into a party planet that would ultimately lead to everyone's demise via partying and doing nothing else. In the end, they played Vercatus off against Liliana, who destroyed him and took his power. Also, Vercatus had stolen Prudence's power, and they had to get that back too. And Dob was engaged to Katie Pearlhead, a one-off villain that he fell in love with after pursuing her. Dob, you gotta work on who you fall in love with. I'm trying to do this quick because my battery's flashing. They do have plans for more D&D and tabletop stuff in the future, but their story's over. For now, anyway. I'll miss them. They were good characters. Dob sticks with me most of all. He was a half-orc bard that inspired my own half-orc bard until I realized, he inspired my half-orc bard Darb until I realized Darb is meant to be a fighter and my bard is a gnome named Burgle. Sorry, Jason, I'm not trying to disrespect you, but you're going to be my gnome cleric. Alright, I'm going to pause here really quick because I'm going to change batteries and charge this battery so I can hopefully get through the rest of this without issue. So, one sec. May 28th, I got the Platinum Trophy in Ni no Kuni 2. This took about 84 hours in-game. I beat the game before and got all the people necessary and the research for everything, but 3 items. I need to let people level up, which is just a waiting game, a game worth completing, I would say. Beat the boss, like beat all of the various hidden and secret bosses around the map, I think it was, and then find the last people to fully level the kingdom. But the platinum trophy can be a bit frustrating. One tip: play the game on expert from the start as long as you can, so you get more experience and such to become stronger. I got to Broadleaf, fighting Bastion. Well, one boss fight before that, before I turned it down to normal so I could get past it at the least. Other than that, just research the internet, and when you need something like where is Tainted Monster X or Y, or where do I get resource Y, etc. It's a pretty fun, straightforward game. I've described it as being like Suikoden, but like a step above, because basically, you recruit various people, they help your kingdom grow with various jobs and such. Like, oh hey, I have an armorer, I have a spellcrafter, I have a shop, I have a baker, I have resource gathering people, etc. And basically, you assign these people to these jobs, and they're marked as like, oh hey, I'm proficient in this, this, or that. So, you choose where they go, what they do, and sometimes you need specific people for things to work out. Like, oh hey, this person has spiffing smithing. You need them in order to unlock, like level 2 armor or whatever. It's just an overall very fun game. It's interesting. I liked it. It's a normal JRPG, basically. You start out as an individual, you form a small party of characters, and you travel the world trying to, right wrongs and, fight back the forces of darkness. And also, you grow your kingdom, grow your armies. You do have army battles, actually. And yeah, it's just overall a great game, and I love it. And it's potentially one that I would revisit, like Suikoden and a few other games in my library. Not 100%. But like just for sure enough to at least complete the game and have fun with it again. I may have to go back to the first game, Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch, potentially, also at some point. We'll see what happens. May/June. ColossalCon happened during the end of May and beginning of June. It was a good time. I rode with Ryan and my friend Ashley. I got lots of pictures, some more cool props, prints, and dice. I got a minor burn on my chin and near my elbow, but otherwise I was fine. I got to assist with the horror photo shoot, pass out some extra cards at the Nicktoons shoot, and got to contemplate a new photographer identity. We'll see what happens with that. Next up is MatsuriCon in August as a multi-day event, but single-day events include a horror convention and a steampunk convention near me to see how they feel and updates to come. Unfortunately, MatsuriCon, the steampunk convention, and the horror convention fell through for me because life, unfortunately. My vacation was denied for MatsuriCon, and it sucks because I was supposed to see, Ryan and our buddy Yui and a few other people again. But, we'll just have to see what happens, hopefully with SakaiCon. As for the new photographer identity, I don't really have any set plans for that. I got a visor thing, which I forget where I placed it, unfortunately, so I'll have to relocate it. But the short version is, it's got like a visor thing that, can put like little text across the eyes. So you could say stuff, like hi, hello, or, like heart emoji. Or in my case, it'd be like just, oh hey, I'm a robot photographer. Or if you want to stick with D&D, Warforged photographer. But I'd also have to wear some more like silver and metal plate stuff, and I don't know. I might just stick to normal vest guy with Valerian writing on my shoulder, and we'll go from there. Yeah. So that is that. June 11th and 12th. I binged both seasons of Hell of a Boss after the suggestion of my friend Nicole. I thought I'd check it out. It had been on my radar before, but after she revealed both seasons are on YouTube, I thought, why not? I didn't have a particular YouTube series at that point that I was following. Basically, the story follows the misadventures of a group of demons who act as mercenaries for hire and some of the crazy stuff they get into. Imagine a dark Ren and Stimpy set in hell. Definitely for older audiences, and you're there, I would say. Richard Horvitz, Daggett of Angry Beavers and Invader Zim, is a lead character that alone just sells it for me. Like, he's a great voice actor. I love him so much. And I actually got to meet him once. And for reference, I'm a Moxie type of character. I forget exactly what that means, but if you watch the show, you'll understand. Has Been a Hotel is on Prime, though the pilot is on YouTube. Another interesting series set in the same universe, also has some good songs, I hear. I don't really have much else to say about it. They're definitely interesting adult cartoons that are worth watching if you're a bit of an oddball like myself. Like, basically, if you gravitate towards anime conventions, anime, video games, trading card games, if you'd be interested in any of that, give it a shot, I would say. Alright, so moving on to July. My DM got married. Tim is a great guy I met through the Band of the Red Hand Facebook group, which is for the book series The Wheel of Time. He married his lovely wife, Brittany. I've only seen Tim via Zoom, and Brittany I've seen once or twice, but I do know, based on her posts and such, she's a cool person and also a fellow D&D player. Yeah, Tim, our joke is that he is the okayest DM, but honestly, you're a great DM, Tim. You took the time to really figure out each session that we've got going on. You've borrowed a thing or two from the books, like the Fey Carnival was the Fire Beyond the Witchlight or whatever. I forget the name of the book, but you've put your own creative spin on things, and like I talked about last year, the death of Mukdoth still sticks with me. It stuck with all of us, and we're working closer to resolving that. And also, that has definitely inspired my character choice to make Jason a cleric. Basically, I'm going to go Domain of Life, because he's seen so much death in the course of the adventure. The parties that he went out with to find the crystallized children, finding several crystallized characters, and then finally Mukdoth's passing in the carnival. He was, a carnival performer before this, so being surrounded by death and such is a bit much for him. And he wants to stop the, cycle of violence and death, and the best way he thinks to do that, to protect his friends, is become a Domain of Life cleric. A follower of the goddess Suni, I believe it is. Sig, our paladin, follows her, and yeah. But also, the village that we've returned to, where we're trying to lay Mukdoth to rest, has a temple dedicated to her. So that's where that's coming in. And I've gotten some positive comments, from Tim and Yenny saying that they like how interesting my character is and that he has a story arc. Like, that's what I try and do with my characters, is I try and have story arcs. Like, I have a starting point, but like story arcs just come up, like here in Strixhaven, which hopefully I will talk about towards the end of the video. But yeah. So Tim got married. Remember that. Alright. July 3rd. I saw Back to the Future, the musical, with Brian and Alex. It was a great show. They made some changes to the story. Like, for instance, no terrorists. Basically, the issue that does dock in is that there were some cracks in his radiation suit, and he passed from radiation poisoning. And a few other odds and ends. I was most impressed with how they made the DeLorean appear to fly. An excellent show, worth a watch for any fan of the series. Like whenever I talked about Evil Dead the Musical. It was just a good show. And of course, they had some like little nods to the audience. I'm talking about how great the year 2020 was supposed to be for them, because the story takes place originally in 1985, moves to 1955, and then back to 1955, 85, blah blah. But yeah, overall it was a great show, and I really loved it. But yeah, so I'm glad I got to see it. Thank you, Brian and Alex, for giving me the opportunity to see it. Otherwise, I would not have been able to. Yeah, that's that. Alright, July 23rd. I got the Platinum Trophy in Ratchet & Clank Size Matters, a PSP game of the Ratchet & Clank series that was ported to the PlayStation 2 and then recently to the PS4 and PS5. A nice game, but it does fall short of the first 4 games in the series. You know, Ratchet & Clank, Going Commando, Up Your Arsenal, and Deadlocked or Gladiator in the European regions, I believe. Nice game, but it does fall, yeah. And there was a long grind to get the bolts for the Rhino. R-Y-N-O. Rip ya a new one. You know, just a consistent weapon that's been honestly one of the most powerful weapon in the game for the series. You know, and it varies, you know, on the games. You know, Rhino 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I forget how many they've gone up to, but it's a lot. The cost being $9,999,999, you know, all nines, which was annoying. There were a few other trophies that were annoying also, like get 15 skill points and beat a level in High Impact Games Treehouse. Not to be critical of the team, but this felt like a knockoff brand version of the real games. I don't hate Big Impact Games as a company, but some of the game choices were annoying in my opinion. August 5th. Got the Platinum Trophy in Destroy All Humans 2. Had some frustrating missions toward the end to get the last trophies. You know, collect art and music and PK Slam Dunk on the moon. Not a hard game to platinum, but annoying for me having to backtrack and find all the items. I like the series and Stubbs the Zombie. You know, they were both early 2000 games. That were good send-ups of 50s horror/sci-fi. I doubt I will touch this game again, though. Basically, the Destroy All Human series is, a Furon alien, you know, lands on Earth, and basically just his quest to conquer Earth, you know, destroy all humans. The first game, you know, you're basically focused on the United States, and then Destroy All Humans 2 branches out to the world. So yeah, you start out in the U.S. again, but you move on to Great Britain or London, Russia, China or Japan, I forget which one, and then ultimately space. But yeah, it was a fun, interesting game. It had some cool collectibles. It was a simple enough game to platinum, so I enjoyed it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to touch it again, though. That is about it. August 6th to 27th. I got to play Grandia once more. Basically, it was free on the PlayStation Store for the PS4. Taking 62 hours, roughly, I beat the game. You know, everything that I could do. All the optional dungeons, getting as many techniques mastered as I could. Everything. I beat the Soldier's Graveyard and the Tower of Temptation, thanks to a walkthrough, because the path is confusing and hard to follow. In the end, Balgaia I steamrolled. You know, his 4 pieces never got to attack. The second final boss never got to attack either. The final boss only got off a few light techniques like Poison on Wrap. 99 Water, 99 Wind eluded me once more, but there's no way to do it without grinding constantly and adding out way too many hours. I was about 40 in each by the end of the game. I'm going to explain all of that stuff. So there are 2 optional dungeons. The Soldier's Graveyard. Basically you just go through this underground level place and you go until you find the final boss, which is in a dark, confusing area. And the Tower of Temptation. It's a giant tower that you climb, and eventually you face 4 bosses from earlier in the game. The thing that's tricky about this is there's only one save point, and it's at the very start of the tower. So, by the time you reach the end, whatever you have, that is what you have. So you obviously want to try and conserve mana, skill points, items, etc. I thought it was snowing, so I looked out the window. But, yeah. And then, the Ball Gaia steamroll thing, that's the final boss. Or one of the final bosses. There's Ball Gaia, there's Gaia, and then there's, like, Gaia inside of Gaia. Imagine Lavos from Chrono Trigger, and you've got it, basically. Except there's 3 bosses instead of 2, so it's different. So, Square Enix, or whoever, you cannot sue. 3 is different than 2. Also, Ball Gaia is a different entity than Gaia itself, just saying. He's just a guy who has Gaia tentacles for some reason. But yeah. And then, one of the ultimate techniques is freezing time, which takes 99 water and 99 wind, which creates frost magic. But yeah, I only got to level 40 with wind and water by the end of the game. It's tough. And then just going back to explain why this game stuck with me. I got to play this game when I was a child, around the age of 13 or so. Thank you, David, who was Shannon's boyfriend at the time. I couldn't beat it my first time, but a few years later, I got to try again, and I beat the game. Basically, I got stuck on Ball Gaia. And basically, I realized, okay, I'm just going to, fight Ball Gaia. Oh no, I lost. Alright, I'm going to go around, grind, save, fight Ball Gaia again. If I lose again, go back around, grind, level up, fight him again until I win. And I did, eventually. This is my 4th time beating the game, I think. I disappointed. I did not get to get the Platinum Trophy. The trophy list does not work for some reason. I'm 36 and life is busier than it used to be, so I'm not sure if I'll ever get to beat Grandia again. But I think this time was the most satisfying ending, with the steamrolling of the final bosses and beating the tower and gaining so many of the techniques. Thank you for releasing this game, and thank you for re-releasing it on the PS4 for us. God, we're going into September now. Nearly done. So, September 6th to around September 20th, my mom had foot surgery and couldn't put weight on her left foot. So I had to help her get around the house for 2 weeks, roughly. It was tough to start, but we got things figured out within the first few hours. We used a computer chair with wheels to get around the house for the most part, and we had a fair amount of takeout food. Not really great health-wise, but you know what? You gotta do what you gotta do. Ideally on or by the 20th, she gets her boot on so things will be easier for both of us. Also during this time, on the 9th, Mom's Buick Rendezvous died. We thought battery problem, but after changing the battery, it stalled out again, so we had it towed to get looked at. That was a long 2 days. It died the 9th, late at night, changed the battery on the 10th, stalled out not even a mile away from the spot it stopped, and had to be towed. Things got a little better by the 20th. She got the cast off, had some stitches, but could walk a bit at least with a walking boot, so things are going smoothly now. Yeah, basically it took till somewhere in December for the foot to fully heal. But yeah, overall we got through Mom's foot surgery well enough, and she's getting her other foot operated on January 17th. So that foot is a bit better, in better condition than the other foot. So hopefully healing time isn't as long, but we'll see how that goes. Alright. Sometime after September 20th, I got the Toy Story 2 game off of the PlayStation Network, and I got the Platinum Trophy in it. Basically, this was a PlayStation 1 classic game that they added trophies to. Thank you for that. It's helped my trophy game so much. Basically, it was a nice game from the PS1 era. Not a big hit, but the fact that it had trophy support got my interest, so I went for it. Mostly, beat the game and complete certain level tasks. There were some trophies where you had to beat, the mini bosses of various levels in neat ways. A top boss that you had to spin. One had green slime on the floor that I could never touch. The toughest was beat this boss using only charge shots. Aiming first person was too hard, and there is no auto lock, but I did it. Basically, in the level Al's apartment, you fight in a Western, style area, and you have to use charge shots in order to take down the bad guy. I did it. It was annoying and it was rough. So yeah, that's like Platinum Trophy number 4 or 5 for the year. I liked it. I liked Toy Story 2, the game, as a kid, so getting to play again was cool and interesting. But again, like Destroy All Humans 2, I doubt I'm going to touch it again after this. The nostalgia is gone. Moving on. October 2nd. Oh yeah, this is the back sprain thing. I saw my doctor about my own back problems. Ache in the lower back and legs. Mostly the left leg. After a quick inspection, was prescribed some medicine on the 2nd, and I'm feeling a bit better. One is a minor steroid, and the other is a muscle relaxer. I slept all through the night. I guess what had happened back in August is I had sprained my back, but didn't know that was a thing, but okay. Anyway, things are getting better, and I'm pretty sure I'll be good soon. It's now December 31st, 2024. I'm feeling a lot better. One of the things that definitely also helped me was doing stretches and working out a bit more. And I mean not anything too crazy and strenuous. Basically squats. God, what are the other two exercises? Basically, like bending for like toe touches. Standing up to help stretch and limber out my back muscles. And then, push-ups and stuff to help with, my arm strength. I feel like there's one other one, but I forget. But yeah. So, basically, and I'll talk about this later on, but, exercise definitely is important once you hit a certain age. So, if you're still in your 20s and stuff, get into a, not even a hardcore, workout routine. Just like a casual one. Like, I do the 20 squats, maybe like the 5 to 10, toe touches, and, however many push-ups you can do. It'll help you out in the long run, trust me. Also, the fact that I work in a warehouse and have to lift heavy stuff all the time, that probably contributed to the back sprain, ache, and such. Moving forward into December now. We're almost done. December 3rd to the 18th. I got the game One Piece Odyssey. And after about 72 hours of play, I got the Platinum Trophy. The story is the crew end up on an island where a strange girl and her guardian help them to recover their power, which was stolen and put into cubes by the girl's strange powers. It's confusing and weird. But if you know One Piece, confusing and weird is, the normal. There was a lot of running around. We got to revisit some cool bits of the past. Alabasta, Water 7, Marineford, Dressrosa. And it was cool getting to re-experience those memories with some slight alterations. Because basically the game is, oh hey, we're revisiting your memories, but some things are a bit different because, memory is kind of fluid and changes and yada yada. It was a challenge toward the end because of a few things. Collecting 99 Yaya cubes. Basically, they're little collectibles that appear in the 4 memories of the game. And then facing the challenge cubes. Basically, powered up fights, from the story. If I'd powered level before them, I could have been done a bit sooner. So basically, fighting some of the various bosses. Like we had to fight Doflamingo, Jesus Burgess, Smoker. I think Tashigi was with him. I hope Tashigi was with him. Wink. But yeah, just stuff like that. But anyway, you live, you learn. As with most One Piece games, it was fun, but not something I need to revisit. Basically, like I said, and I talk about this casually on Facebook, but I think one of my favorite games to play through was One Piece World Red. Because you get to play with the whole party at that point, up to Brook. I'm not sure if there has been a major game that has featured Jinbei as a playable character. Like, I think maybe Pirate Warriors 3 or 4 might have. But, like, that's a different game than this. Basically, this, it's your standard sandbox game of, oh hey, run around the world, find different things. And one of the things that just turned me off a bit was the fact that Brooke and Frankie are kind of, oh hey, we're just going to push you to the side and you're not going to be used until late in the game, like chapters 4 and 5. You know, everyone else, oh hey, you can play around as and you can do all this stuff and yada yada, but you have to wait for them. Because Frankie has to work on the ship and Brooke's body is lost in the ocean. I don't know. But it works because, oh hey, they weren't in Alabasta. They can't be part of the memories and blah blah blah. I don't know. I'm almost done. Somewhere after the 18th. I started Ape Escape, a PS1 classic game that I think I beat when it came out in 1999. It was innovative because it relied on the dual analog sticks, you know, for your control of the character. So, left moves you around, right swings your weapons and items around. And then the face buttons are like, okay, which gadget am I using? The stun club, the time net, and then square and circle. You can set the different buttons for whatever, but triangle and X were set for me, and then square and circle were two different things. Another potential platinum trophy, which I did ultimately get, and I will talk about that in a minute. The craziest things are either catch 100 monkeys, I forget how many there are in the game, or collect 40 Spectre coins. Again, I forget the number. Basically, there are 204 monkeys in the game. So, in theory, like you go through each level and you are supposed to get a certain number of monkeys per level. You're like, oh hey, 3 in the early stages, and then like towards the late game it's like closer to 8 to 10. Or, you know, if it's a boss level, oh hey, you're supposed to catch Spectre, but you have to catch monkeys along the way in order to progress through the level to try and catch Spectre. Yeah. But yeah. Really quick, just addressing why I'm not sure if I beat the game back in the day is because during the final boss fight, after one of my attacks, the game froze up. And I just never revisited the game after that. I was so frustrated. And it turns out, no, I had almost beat the first phase of the 2 phases of the final boss of Spectre. But yeah, hoping to avenge that and then move on to Sly Cooper 2 and 3 soon. They're on PlayStation Plus, so I have to get that. Or you can just purchase the games for $10 each. You know, Sly Cooper 2 and 3 are some of my favorite games of the franchise. You know, they changed the formula up to how it works best, I feel like. You know, basically like an overworld where you go to the missions and you have an actual health bar, rather than, you know, the old Crash Bandicoot system of, oh hey, you can take one hit, you take a hit and die, or you can collect charms and have hit points. But, yeah. I did, that was my plan, and I'll talk about that stuff in a minute, because I do wrap up the Ape Escape thing here. December 29th. I beat Ape Escape and I got the Platinum Trophy. Yay me. I'm trying to get all 204 monkeys so I can capture Spectre for the 100% completion ending. You know, besides all the Spectre coins. The Spectre coins are not necessary for the 100% ending. They are 40 are necessary for the trophy, for one of the trophies. So just saying. But I did beat them all, and then I got to start Sly Cooper 2 Band of Thieves, which is my favorite game of the series. Like I just said a minute ago, basically, this really set a good formula for the game. You know, you get to play as Sly, Bentley, and Murray, you know, going around the world map, going to various missions, and, yeah, just committing major heists to get back the clockwork parts in the second game, and then in the third game, it's getting a crew together to try and take on the defenses of Dr. M at the Cooper Vault, because he's trying to break in and get all of Sly's family treasures. Alright, and then the second major thing on December 29th was I found out that the YouTube channel Man Shorts, MANN Shorts, has concluded their 10-year series of random D&D one-shots. They've covered a lot of things, you know, retail, Florida, Black Friday, political things, being goth, being a mechanic, a few other odds and ends, you know, in various one-shots for, you know, comedic effect. Oh, wrestling too. Sorry. But, you know, just like, oh, hey, like, give me this role to see if you can, you know, reconstruct this engine, or, you know, give me this role to, I don't know, fight, I don't know, I'm tired. It's hard to do this. But basically, you know, at 10 minutes a pop, I would say it's worth checking out Man Short's videos, just to see if you are interested in them, if you like D&D. Basically, it's taking the D&D rule system and just applying it to different things. You know, like I said, being a mechanic, being a goth, doing other things. They did say that the crew are going to do, you know, more content, like short films and such. But this series was great, even though I joined up late. They ran for, I think, 10 years doing this stuff. And, yeah. So, okay. I'm done with that. I have to move on to the end of the road stuff. And then looking at 2025. So give me a minute. Those at the end of the road. If you're not familiar, you know, the end of the road is my metaphor for people who have passed on. And unfortunately, I got a late edition that I'm going to talk about here in the end as well. But let's talk about them. Carl Weathers. A great actor of the 80s, known well for his roles as Apollo Creed in the Rocky films, Dylan in Predator, the golf professional Chubbs in Happy Gilmore, and in more current roles as well as The Mandalorian, where he played Grief Karga. Yeah, like, he was awesome. I love him most as Apollo Creed, for sure, because he was a great over-the-top character who fought against Sylvester Stallone, you know, in the Rocky films for the first 3. You know, basically he was an over-the-top, patriotic American, you know, boxer, you know, who played up his role and just, he was a fun guy. I don't know what else to say. Akira Toriyama. A Japanese manga creator behind so many projects such as Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, Dragon Ball Super, and a number of films. Chrono Trigger, Dragon Quest. That's all I had. Sorry, I built up. His work had so much influence over anime and my life as well. Now, I watched Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. I played Chrono Trigger, probably my favorite RPG of all time. I know, it's pretty cliche to say. And Dragon Quest. 11 is the only game of the series that I have played, but I love it. And honestly, that might be my favorite. Sorry, Chrono Trigger. Don't be mad, please. You know, the world would be so different without, you know, without Mr. Toriyama and his work, and it's a bit less bright because he's gone. I mean, yeah, like his art style just worked so well for the Dragon Ball series and anything that he was involved with. Like, you know, you see Chrono and you see Goku's face and eyes, or you see Marl and you see Bulma or whatever, and just it sucks. But, you know, I'm glad I got to experience some of those things that he worked on. Allie, my aunt's dog. Originally, Allie was my sister's family dog, but my aunt Lois took her on years ago. And, you know, she was a lovely little dog. Very excited and animated whenever we'd see my aunt. She'll be missed. You know, I want to say a mixed poodle breed, you know, some kind of small dog with curly hair. You know, Allie was good. She was getting up there in years, and unfortunately she took an injury at one point, and I don't know what else to say. She was a good dog. Like I said, she was my sister's family dog first, but they had to give her up for one reason or another, and my aunt took her on. And, you know, she grew attached to that dog, and so did my cousin, Michelle. Next one's not easy either. Alexis Hunger. She was my godmother. She was my mom's best friend. She passed on June 1st. The calling hours and final service were on the 4th and 5th, respectively. She was a good, kind woman. She loved everyone she met, and she had a lot of love to give. I remember stopping in to see her a few times when she worked at Macy's, the department store, and how she came up for a few of Mom's surgeries. When it was just me, and when Mom was having issues back in October 2021. October 2021 is not something I like to talk about, but basically, some stuff was going on. Mom was in the hospital for most of October, and then for a time she was in an assisted living facility. And Alexis was there to be supportive when she could. She had some mobility issues and getting up to the hospital and such, but she showed up at the assisted living facility to visit with my mom. Since then, my mom has, recovered and is back to normal, but yeah, we don't talk about October 2021. She was good, she was kind, and she will be missed. I'm going to need a minute. Moving on to Shelley Duvall. She played Olive Oil in the Popeye movie. That was one of Robin Williams' first major movie roles. That was in the 80s. I forget the year exactly. She also played the wife in Suburban Commando. Basically a Hulk Hogan film where he plays a space bounty hunter character and crash lands in, Earth and has to live suburban life. But also has to deal with, oh hey, my alien stuff has come down to find me and give me trouble. I would say the biggest role I know her for is her role in The Shining, where she faced off against the insane husband, played by Jack Nicholson. She was definitely, I don't know her for a whole lot, but she was definitely good in the roles that she played, and I really liked her. She seemed like a cool lady for all the stuff that she did. Another, major actor role that I'm not sure what I can say about. Donald Sutherland passed June 20th this year. He had a big part in MASH, The Hunger Games, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Kelly's Heroes. I haven't seen a whole lot of his work, but I know the name. And I'm literally looking at the Google to see if there's anything I can really identify really quick. One that just springs to my mind is The Italian Job in 2003. He was an older guy. I forget who he was exactly. I think he was the mentor guy who was taken out early in the movie, unfortunately. But yeah, it was a cool dude. He had a very cool voice, and he was cool, man. That's all I can really say about him. I'm sorry I don't have more on you, Mr. Sutherland. I know you're a cool guy, and yeah. If you look up Donald Sutherland, you'll find some cool stuff, I am certain. Richard Simmons. Basically, he hosted a number of workout videos, sweating to various genres of music. An absolute gem of a human being. He'll be missed for his endless optimism. One of the other things that I know him for personally was he did appear on Whose Line Is It Anyway at least once. And he got to have some fun, with the improv actors on the show. Ryan, Colin, I think Wayne was there too. I forget. But yeah, he just got to be a fun, silly, I would dare say, like a fae creature. Fae type of person. Just very light, airy, fun, just cheery person. He was a good dude. Shannon Doherty. Unfortunately, she passed away from, I think, cancer. Basically, she was a cool, attractive actress that I remember from a few 90s movies. Unfortunately, I can't name the movies offhand because, I don't know, man. She was definitely, at that time, a B-movie actress. I want to say appearing in, horror and such. I'm Googling again. I know, totally unprofessional, but dude, I'm trying. God, dude, she was 53. She was in Beverly Hills 90210, the Charm series, Mallrats. I know I'm just noting stuff that I know her for. Let's see. Da, 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 da. She was in Riverdale, apparently. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything else that I know of personally. But she seemed like a cool lady from what I saw. Again, I'm sorry for this, but it's been a long year, and just getting here has been a challenge. That's all I got. So, yeah, she was a cool actress. You know, did some cool stuff. Very attractive lady. Oh my god. This is the... No, wait. This is the second to last one. I'm sorry, I forgot. Tony Todd. Well known for his role as Candyman in the Candyman series of films. You know, basically a horror movie villain who had a hook for a hand, who was summoned whenever you said the name Candyman into the mirror 3 times, I think it was. And he was an excellent actor and a great guy. He was 69 years old apparently. Nice. Haha. I'm trying to bring levity right now. This is the hard part of the video. You know, I remember him well for his role as the mortician Bloodworth in the Final Destination series, basically offering weird and cryptic advice to the crew. He also had a prominent role in the Hatchet series, at least in the first 2 films. I also remember him in The Rock facing off with Nicolas Cage. Basically just a terrible representation of their interaction. "Do you know how this shit works?" he said, brandishing a knife. Oh, wait. Fuck. Let me try that again. "Do you know how this shit works?" Nicolas Cage said in relation to the missiles and nerve agent. And then Mr. Todd, brandishing a knife, says, "You know how this shit works?" You know, and basically it's you're the Rocket Man. You know, because they talked about music briefly. You know, I'm not into that soft ass shit, blah, blah, blah. And that's it. The last person for the end of the road that I want to talk about this year was a guy I used to work with. His father passed away. Tim Pringy's dad. P-R-I-N-G. Never mind. Tim's dad passed away. Different Tim. I've unfortunately been there. My father passed away years ago, and I'm not sure Tim will ever see this, but if you do, Tim, first off, my condolences at your loss. It's tough. But as time goes on, you will heal. And you take as long as you need to grieve. You know, it might be a few days, a few weeks. And then there are times where you go months without being upset. But then something just reminds you when you're doing this. And that's fine. Take as long as you need for that. But I will tell you something that will give you some solace. I can tell you for a fact that your dad would be proud of who you are and who you've grown up to be and the life that you were leading. You are a good, kind, and wonderful human being. That you work hard. And that you're one of the best people that I know of. Because you are so kind and warm and welcoming. Even after years of not seeing me, whenever I show up for NyonCon and I help out, you're always like, "Brad!" And you go offer me a big hug, man. So, he taught you well. He taught you to be a good person. He taught you to be a man. Never forget that. And cherish that. Alright, I'm almost done. Had to stop and recharge my batteries, but yeah. I've just got the year's big lessons, and then looking ahead at 2025, what the heck is going on that is of interest to me, and that hopefully I will attend. We'll see what happens. But this year's big lesson, and there's two. Number one, I'm 36 now. I'm gonna be 37 in a few weeks. And like I talked about in August, I sprained my back. It took me a bit of time to see the doctor, but after a week with medicine, I recovered more than I had in the month prior. Suffice to say, 36 is the year where I hit the wall physically. Where I have to work out to maintain muscle and such. Like I'm still in good condition, but I do have some aches sometimes. My lower back, my leg, my knee, etc. Also, if I'm hurt bad enough, I can't just walk it off. Like you joke about as a kid and in your 20s and stuff. It stinks, but, it's reality. So, take care of yourselves. Basically just get into a basic workout routine. I talked about mine a bit earlier, but I'll go over it again really quick. Just some squats, some, like, basically toe touches, just, like, bending at the waist. And, like, left and right to stretch out your back and get the blood flowing. Really helps to avoid, strain and such. And also some push-ups or planking or whatever. And honestly, for the push-ups, I'm going to be honest with you, like I'm doing them vertically, like I'm standing and I'm, leaning against the wall. So like, it's not probably as effective, but it's at least a start. And then eventually I will have to, just actually start doing legit push-ups or planking to, work out arms and core strength. And then also I gotta figure a cardio thing. I've got a seated elliptical thing under the table here that I use sometimes. It's just I gotta get into a routine with it actually. Like I did at one point last year, and then I kind of fell off of that. And yeah, so that's the big thing. And then also, like, if you're considering, getting, like, do I have it near me? Does not look like it. Basically, if you get a compression sleeve, look into, like, copper fit or something that has copper in it, because it's supposed to help with circulation, which is something that does help with, like, issues around the joints, like the knees, or the lower back, or the elbows even. I've had some minor issues there, but they seem to have passed. I didn't really do anything specific, but that was years ago. But they could come back. Like the knees thing. Like, oh hey, like, at some point in my 20s, whenever I was in the freezer cooler and having to bend and crouch down so low, like, that hurt my knees a bit. But it went away because I wasn't doing that as much. But yeah, so like that I would say for, like, if you're active, like if you're, cycling, basketball, running, stuff like that. But also, it might not be a bad idea to have, like, again, I don't have it near me, but basically I got, like, a cold compress, that's meant for, oh, hey, this goes around your knee, or this goes around your ankle. Because I've also had some minor ankle pains, which could be another sprain. Don't know, just speculating. And then, the other, year lesson for me personally was basically, if I want to go to an event, I'm going to have to request off that day from work. Because most of the events, are obviously, like, Saturdays, and it's just crazy to go from work to an event. Because, especially on the weekends, it's crazy. Everybody's off, everybody's shopping, everybody's getting stuff, and it's a lot to keep up with. Toward the end of the day, I've got to deal with large packages of water. 40, 60 ounce, 16 ounce bottles, weighs quite a bit, like 20 to 30 pounds at least. And lifting it from down around my ankles up to about chest height. Yeah, it's exhausting. So, I'm gonna have to look ahead at events and, request off, and if I get the day off for those events, cool. And also what's nice is, with my schedule, I can work around it and go with, oh hey, like, I need to work Tuesday or Wednesday, one of the days that I'm off, so I can have Saturday off. I can do that occasionally. Not all the time. And, sometimes I do have other things going on. Like, she has an appointment, or I have an appointment. And yeah, so I'll just have to work around that as best I can. Which also brings me to, I talked about it before, I've talked about it last year. Like, I'm still wanting to do therapy. The issue is, it's just my life is kind of crazy. And like I'm going to talk about in a couple of minutes, January at the least is going to be a bit crazy again, I think. So I might have to push back another month or so. But I do plan on getting there eventually because I should sort some things out, obviously. So that's the other big lesson for the year. Because I had a bit of a down period, like around and before I sprained my back. But yeah, I don't really have much more to say on that. Just therapy might not be a bad idea to look into. I know another person or two who has gone to therapy. They've had good results, and I've had another person or two who didn't care for therapy or wasn't able to engage with it properly. So yeah, I'm not saying it's an end-all be-all thing. I'm just saying that's what happened with this person or that person. I think that was it specifically. But I gotta get this done anyway, and if there are other notes, then I will make them, and I will add them in later or for next year. I swear. So, we're on to the last section now. Looking ahead to 2025, some of the major events that are coming up and that I'm going to try and work out. So, looking ahead at 2025, I don't know anything for sure. These are just some things that are on my radar that I have to be aware of. First off, January 9th, my mom has a minor foot surgery thing to basically get 2 of her toes fused, because on January 17th, 8 days later, she has the foot surgery to, basically straighten out her right foot, make things good. This was the surgery that she had on her left foot in September, where, she was laid out for 2 weeks. Like, legit, you cannot walk until you get, the walking cast on your feet, on your left foot, which I have heard on several occasions, was the worst of the 2 feet. So, maybe recovery time might be a little bit faster, but I'm not going to hold my breath. I'm going to presume at the least 2 to 3 weeks of downtime. So I'll have to, take care of things, but we've already got it figured out, so it shouldn't be as big a headache. I hope. Let's see. January 27th. I know it's 10 days after the thing, so probably won't be able to make it, but I want to put it out there. The Cleveland Death Cafe has an event. Basically, it's just, a nice little cafe thing that started in, I guess, Europe. People just get together and are able to talk, a bit more openly about, mortality and such, and try and make it less taboo than it is or was. And also it's just a nice casual hangout thing. One of the people who runs the event I've talked to a bit, seems like a nice person, and I don't know, like, it's just another social thing that I can potentially do, because I do clearly need to get out more. I'm shooting a video for New Year's Eve, on New Year's Eve, and I'm editing it. And of course I gotta figure, other stuff with like Matt and Paul and Chris and Jordan and everybody else. And if, any love type relationship stuff comes up in my life, potentially them too. But yeah, moving on. Anna Marathon is March 22nd and 23rd. I've been there before. It took place at Bowling Green State University, back when I went, and it was a single day event, but now it's a multi-day event, so it's something worth looking into, I think. The downside is it's, 2 or 3 hour drive down there, and then back, of course. But, hey, like, I'd only go for 1 day for that, just to check things out. I'm going to coordinate with Ryan, make sure he is still going to the event, and then if I do end up going, hey, I'll be down there, we'll just hang out. And then, just a quick look into the far, far future. If there comes a time where I have to cut down, the anime conventions to, like, single day events, at that point, I'm going to still have my camera, but I'm going to prioritize hanging out with my friends, Ryan, Yui, John, Mike, etc. And that's not a bad thing, and I don't see that foresee that happening anytime soon, but it is a possibility. Mainly because, like we've talked about, 4 years since 2021, we'd like to get a cat. And at some point, whenever I'm on my own, I can't leave the cat alone for a weekend. At best, I can leave the cat alone for a day. I can go down to the convention, check things out, and come back. So, but that, again, that's ideally years down the line. If that comes up, I will talk about it. But for right now, it's just a thought in the air. Ninja's Sex Party is, on tour again. They are going to be at the Athenaeum in Columbus, Ohio, March 26th. Honestly, I love the band. I love Danny and Ninja Brian, and I love the work that Tupperware Remix Party has put into their, cool costumes and their, performances of, classic songs. I'm not as familiar with them. I'm going to be 100% honest, but, they've collaborated, obviously, and kind of formed like a super group, and I wouldn't mind checking that out live sometime. This may be one of the few chances that I get to see them live, and maybe get Danny's autograph. Like I said, I really like Danny, and like in terms of being a rock star, I feel like he's one of the most relatable ones for me personally. We're roughly the same age, give or take. But he started out as a kid in New Jersey. Having fun, performing, etc., and he's gone from, making the random videos for Ninja Sex Party on YouTube to, selling sold-out stadiums and performing for people. I'm not saying I want to do that, but seeing someone who I draw some parallels with, reach that level of fame is pretty cool, and I don't know, I'm hoping that if I get the chance to meet him, some of that coolness can transfer to me. But, translate that to being the background guy for, like, D&D stuff, the DM, or being, a YouTube, like, background guy, because writing stuff, I can do that. Performing on camera, that's more of a challenge. So I gotta work on my behind-the-scenes work, and maybe I can get some fame for that, hopefully. Maybe, I don't know, we'll see what happens. But, moving on. We have SakaiCon, which is April 11th to 13th. Basically a number of staff and such from OhioCon form this convention. It'll be my first convention of 2025, hopefully. I have a room with Ryan, and I believe, another couple of friends, Yui, etc., who I haven't seen in forever because of life, so hopefully I can make it this time. Also, it's a bit closer than Columbus was. It's just the first year of the event, so we're not 100% sure, like, oh, hey, it's going to be, like, it's checking it out, mostly. And, I mean, honestly, so far, I haven't really been to a bad convention. I've been to a convention or two that was not for me, I will be honest. But there's nothing wrong with the conventions, otherwise, that I've been to. So I'm holding out hope. We've got ClassicCon 2025, May 28th to June 1st. Basically, just one of my regular conventions that I can hopefully attend, with Ryan for the one, as well as for the One Piece crew, because One Piece is still a big deal. Going into, I believe we are already at 25 years, so going into year 26 or 27. But also I've got some buddies who regularly attend the event. Dan, and Brian, and yes, there are 3 Dans. H, Y, and H, U. Then we've got MitsuriCon for August 29th to the 31st, another regular convention that I try to attend. Hopefully I can work something out with Ryan for this as well, and hopefully I can actually make it down there this time because my request is not denied. And then I get a few more requests denied in the months to follow. That sucked. And yeah, taking a bit of time for yourself is another life lesson thing that I'm going to work in here really quick. Basically, at least once every month, I'm going to try and request to get a 3-day weekend off. So I can have a bit of extra recovery time. Because more often than not, oh hey, my days off become, oh, we got to run this errand, and this errand, and this errand. So, I get a little bit of downtime and then I have to run for like 4 hours. Because that's life. That's being an adult. That's taking responsibility and taking care of people. Parents, I'm sure you understand it. Other people, it sucks, but you gotta do it. God. Almost done. And then, yeah, just last couple of things that I should have put in life lessons, but whatever. No real dates here yet, but just some cosplay picture related stuff that I want to work on. I should have looked beforehand. Of course, I can't find it. Screw it. Basically, I've got some props and accessories that I want to show off, like my dragon scale cloak that I got offline. A regular dark cloak, a steampunky mask that I'm hoping to use for the Mad. I forget the name of the book, but it's Dungeon of the Mad Mage, I believe. Basically, just hey, I can use that to help personify the character. Then the dragon scale cloak for my Drake Warden Ranger. Once I make that character, because I'm working on like 5 campaigns right now. But yeah, basically, I've got a little space in the basement that I can use. That's, plain white walls that I can easily set the camera up for taking quick pictures in for myself. Also, I can try and do stuff outside once the weather clears up. It's currently like wet and rainy outside, so not very snowy, but yeah. And maybe like a little video thing or two. Like for fans of One Piece, I'd like to recreate the Walk to Arlong Park thing. Unfortunately, I don't have a whole lot of collaborators for that. So it might just be different versions of my character, marching forward with their various weapons. That are props, and I'm not going to fight anybody. Because that would require more than one person being in a shot. And then one of the other big things that I've noticed, because I've gone back and started listening to Brad the DM, for Strixhaven, because I want to keep working on that series. I'm in year 2 already, but currently the series sits at episode 6 or 7. And I'm working on editing the next episode, but then we got to the holidays, we got to now, and I'm trying to work on that stuff. Because that's important. This is time-sensitive stuff. Brad the DM, that comes out whenever I get it done. And I gotta stop slacking on that, because there's some good story beats that I want to talk about. Like, Campus Daredevils, is already in that episode. Basically the finale to that. Meeting some jerk and just jacking him in the face. That was a cool moment. But there are other moments. A near-death experience. My first totally made-up, session, for the campaign itself. Some dramatic stuff toward the end of that. And the final fight for year 1, and, just the character speculation about what's going on and what we're going to do, and, dealing with the heaviness that is, having had to face off against whatever's going on. But, for that, I want to work on some background music. I got a keyboard some time ago, because I was like, that could be a good, basic thing to use. I've also got, my harp, a small guitar, a kalimba, a hand drum, just a few other things that I can try and work with to make sound for. Just basic, a minute or 2 of music that I can just loop. That's low volume behind my voice. Because as I'm sure you've noticed, whenever I'm not talking, it's kind of, silent dead air, and, it's not as engaging. So I'm hoping I can address that. I'm not going to make any serious commitments, and obviously I'm not going to be able to do anything for here right now, because I've got literally a day to edit this, and to post it for YouTube tomorrow. But yeah, so, that's looking ahead at 2025. Hopefully it's a good year. Hopefully, there aren't any major issues that come up. And, we can just press forward through whatever we got to do. I hope to see you guys there. If you have any cool stuff that you suggest that I check out, by all means, let me know. I got to look up the horror convention dates. I've got to look up the steampunk convention dates. And I will be honest, I wouldn't mind checking out, a Pride event or two. I'm ace, to be clear. And I mean, like, we may not get as much love within the community, but we still exist, and, I've got a number of friends who are also part of the community that I want to support. So, I may not be part of the event itself, but being there, getting pictures, and showing support is something that I would not mind doing. I just have to figure things out for that. So, yeah. I think that about covers it. So, thank you for watching if you got this far. If you didn't, hey, I don't blame you, and you're not here to hear me anyway. But, if you like what you saw here, feel free to leave a like, subscribe if you're interested in D&D content, potentially more Doctor Who stuff. I'm not sure. We'll see what happens with that. And, just my life in general. Basically, I do these yearly update videos around January 1st. So if you want to check them out, cool. And I think that covers it, finally, for sure. So, as always, everyone, and newly, and a new item to the list, have fun, stay safe, do, a little stretch or two, get warmed up for the new year. Crap, I lost my place. Have fun, stay safe. Keep hydrated. Stretch. Brush your teeth, floss. I'll shorten this out somehow. I'll make it work. I mean, have fun, stay safe, keep hydrated. Works. 3 things. I'm just going to keep adding to this. So, like, when I'm 50, God, it's going to be like a dozen items. And don't forget to take your meds, and eat your vegetables, and eat your fruits and stuff. At least I got this to look back on. So, Brad, good luck with editing this. I'm sure you can do it. You've got a whole day to do all this stuff. And at worst, just don't edit anything out and just poof, there you go. Phone didn't ring or anything, I don't think. And we should be good. So, yeah. Good luck, man. I will see you in 2025, 2026, and beyond. Peace.